We'll be taking you through a trip across all 7 Sonnox plugins. We'll start with the very first plugin that we released. It's an EQ. It was out in 2003, and what it makes it really special is that it's coming from the old Sony Oxford R3 console. That was the very first digital console in the world, very high featured, and what you have in here is the exact algorithm working for you. Just to have a quick listen. You can see you can A/B, you can have 2 different settings, EQ curves. So in this example you can check 2 different sounds of a guitar, either getting a Marshall JCM sound or a Mesa Boogie sound out of it. The good thing about A/Bing is that you will not hear any glitch or click whilst doing it in playback. So you always know what's happening, what's exactly doing your EQ curve. We also can use it on a mastering application. So here there is a mastering curve, and we're using B this time as a flat curve, so we can really appreciate what our curve is doing. By the way, I'm going to explain the system that we have here. It's an MBox 2 Pro, it's a Pro Tools LE, and it's using the native version of our plugins. This is an Artos plugin. So because this is an Artos plugin, only those filters that are enabled are going to take some CPU power. The ones that are off, like this one in here, do not touch the CPU at all. So we can say that this plugin is completely CPU efficient. So let's move on. Second one that was released some years ago, and also original from the console, is the Dynamics plugin. Actually, if you take one of these brochures and you check out page number 2, you will see a picture of the console itself, and you'll be able to see that this layout in here is exactly the same design as it was in the console. The Dynamics plugin includes several independent processes, every one of them related with dynamics, with independent metering, and let's see it in action. What we have here is a drum mix down. We will solo the snare for you. So that's the signal coming directly into the microphone pointing at the snare. There is some leakage, so before processing anything, it might be a good idea to activate the gate to get rid of the leakage and to have the snare isolated. Now we can start working. Clicking access, then we can see the parameters of that particular process. Click the process in, see some compression going on in the meter. Everything I do with the parameters will be reflected in the curve. Although it's a Dynamics plugin, it includes at the same time an EQ. It's a 2-band EQ, SCQ, that stands for sidechain EQ. So originally it was meant to select a band to trigger the compressor and use the sidechain method, but you can also affect the incoming signal just by clicking EQ signal here. So now we can use the 2 bands to affect the incoming signal. Okay, and finally there is a warmth stage where you can add some valve sound to your audio source. I'll switch it on and off for you. And now let's listen to the final mix. The original sound was this, and after processing it with Dynamics, okay, Just another application of this plug-in dynamics. We'll try to focus on the EQ now. There is a bass mix. We have inserted a dynamics plugin in the bass track, on the bass track, and obviously it's using some compression here, you can see it. But we want to add some extra presence to that bass sound, because let's say it's going to do a solo. So we can start tweaking one of the two bands, have the EQ signal clicked. And now we got like more fretty sound. Let me switch it off for you. That's the original one. And that's after processing. So although it's a dynamics plugin, we may still, it could be called almost a full channel strip, although it's not, because the EQ has only two bands. But it's great as part of all the processors that you may need are all there. Just another application for the dynamics on a vocal track.
For my place in the sun, there is no way this
But wait a minute.
will ever let me down. Free myself from what I expect.
We have to fix this voice before we go along. You can hear there's a lot of S's going on in here.
For my place in the sun.
And we have to control that. So, let's call the suppressor. The suppressor was released 1 year ago here at NAMM 2008. It is a de-esser, but it also can work as a depopper or as a general purpose dynamic EQ. Because what we have in here is a band that we can move freely all over the spectrum. We can define this band, and the purpose is to compress what's happening inside here. So in this particular example, let's switch off the effect.
For my place in the sun,
Okay, there's a lot of sibilance going on. So we click the S zone, we zoom in. We can use the two monitoring modes here. Inside, I am listening only to what's happening inside the band. That'll help me set the limit of this band. And I could choose outside, and here I'm listening to all the signals except the one inside the band. This is just to help me set the boundaries of the filter. When I'm done, I click Mix again, click the effects in, and start compressing to the level that I wish. So now I have the S's under control. I could make it work as a traditional de-esser, and that's by accessing more parameters. So this plugin has two windows. First one, easy one for quick corrections, and the second one with more parameters, ratio for more aggressive corrections, less aggressive corrections. Okay, and there's these two buttons here, trigger and audio. You can switch between white and band. Trigger is the audio that's going to be triggering the compressor, and we can choose between band, that's audio inside the band, and white, that's the full spectrum. And the audio is the one affected by the compressor, and you can choose between the band or the full spectrum. So an old de-esser or an old sidechained compressor will work like this.